All right, give me 1 second. All right, you are live. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Red Hook Town Board meeting of February 23rd, 2022. Would you be kind enough to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance
the flag
to the flag
of the United
United
States
States of America
and
and
to the republic
for
which it
for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. And for the folks at home, we hope that you are doing well. Tonight, we have just a few items on the agenda that we'll be discussing. I'll put the agenda up for you. If I can get my buttons to cooperate here. Okay. There we go. We just have some announcements, actually no announcements tonight that I have. A public comment period, no public comments also. The first item on the agenda will be just an update for folks. I'm sure you've been reading about the energy prices. In particular, the utility has been trying to communicate what is a rather dramatic increase in the energy supply costs and how they are passing that on. And we wanted to, again, remind you of a program we adopted, now 2 years and change ago, which is joining with other municipalities to procure energy supply. And we have a contracted rate that is quite low. So we want to update you on that and show you how you can join if you decide that that's something you would like to consider moving forward if you're not already a member. Then we have a resolution to approve a completion guarantee bond for the development tradition. They were required to install some playground equipment, which is on back order. And so we're going to accept or consider accepting a completion guarantee bond, which will enable us to go ahead and do the work if for some reason they don't. And then we have an application for a zoning amendment, and Jesse and Jake are with us tonight to walk us through what they're proposing and asking the town board to consider. And then very quickly, sort of a matter of formality, a resolution to accept a ZEB infrastructure grant award. What that jargon means is that we received money from DEC for fast chargers to put here in Town Hall. And so we're just going to have a formality to accept the grant funds and to start work on procuring the equipment and applying to the utility for their funding source as well. Okay, so those are the agenda items. Does anybody have any announcements? I don't have any announcements tonight. I think it's the first time in 7 years I don't have a single announcement. Does anybody have one you'd like to make? Okay, well, we'll leave that to March. All right, and no public comments as well. We do have some correspondence we'll be sharing later in the evening. Okay, so again, just a reminder, it's called Hudson Valley Community Power. The program's called Community Choice Aggregation. What it allows is municipalities to come together. The Public Service Commission enabled this several years ago so that we can buy as a bulk the energy supply coming into our communities. And the way the program worked is that's actually an opt-out. You as a resident need to take an actual step of opting out. And I know that, that for some people, that was a struggle to get past the fact that we were standing in the shoes of the utility. But the PSC thought that there might be some merits to having the municipality actually go out and procure the energy supply. And one of those merits might be the fact that we're able to get a long-term contract, get a fixed rate, and that will give you predictability on at least the rate. The usage is, of course, up to you and weather and other factors. And so we procured, along with other municipalities, we only made one option available. That was 100% renewable electricity. And you had the option of opting out by a certain date, but you can join at any point and opt out at any point during the program. Here, just to give you some idea, this is a letter that was sent out to some folks just a couple of months ago who may not have been in the program for the first 6 months. So it talks about a new rate for a 30-month period, but actually it was a 3-year contract from July 1st of 2021 to June of 2024. That's my chicken scratch there, just to update information that's on the Central Hudson website, which includes February statistics. And if you look at the price comparison for the CCA, Hudson Valley Community Power, it's a little over 6 cents, 6.5 cents rather, per kilowatt hour. And for the utility right now, it's over triple that amount. And this again is just for the supply portion of your bill. There's a whole nother portion of your bill. Generally speaking, it's the larger portion, but not in the last couple of months. And that's the demand, the distribution portion rather. And so you can see the at least for the time being, the very favorable comparison. I also updated according to their website. That's the figure they use for the 12-month number to compare. So you see over the last 12 months, the comparison has been rather favorable. There was some time right after COVID hit where energy prices actually were negative. And so you saw the futures go negative, and so energy was actually quite cheap in portions of late spring and early summer of 2020. So the comparisons weren't as great. But if you're a small commercial user, you can see what the fixed rate is for that, and see that that's also quite a favorable comparison. Of course, none of this suggests that a year from now that the comparison will be this favorable. In fact, let's hope that energy prices aren't anywhere near what they are right now. But it does really underscore one of the other benefits that we don't think got enough attention, which is it's a fixed rate. So you have some predictability. And once this is up, this is now our second go round here. Once this is up in 2024, we'll join with even more municipalities, I expect, and we will do an even bigger buy. And we'll see how that compares. Here's the number on this page if you want to join, 859-9099. They can answer questions, and they can tell you more information. And this was from a letter that was sent out with my signature in late November, and asking folks to join. If you want to know whether or not you are a member or not, look for what you see here, Columbia Utilities Power, on your bill. You'll see a separate column for that, and it should have that rate mentioned up there. And they have a FAQ on their website. It's hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. Easy way to remember it. You can look at the other municipalities who are in now and others that are thinking of joining. Now, there are many folks who also joined our community solar farm. And so what that did is give you credits for that corresponded against both the supply and the distribution portion of your utility bill. So you're protected against those high increases if you're a member of that CSA. So two ways for you to participate in renewable energy and to at least have predictable pricing. In the case of the solar project, there was an introductory rate, and then it scaled up by 1.3% each year, which seems like a reasonable escalator clause. All right. That's what I have on Hudson Valley Community Power. There's the website, there's the telephone number. Again, future results may not be the same as past performance. So that's agenda item number 1. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? Okay, let's go on to agenda item number 2. It's a resolution to approve a completion guarantee bond, and I think I've explained it. Are there any questions about that for the folks at home? This is the amount that we are requesting as a guarantee that the work that was agreed to as part of the approvals is put up as collateral, if you will, so that we can assure that the work will get done. This is resolution number 7 of 2022. Are there any questions, town board members? You've had a chance to review the materials. Chris Shaw, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, there's that this process is dictated by the provisions of the town's code in terms of what happens in this situation. There's a process where the planning board does reviews the amount, and then the town has to accept the form of the instrument, which in this case is a guarantee agreement with a cash deposit.
Okay. Well, hearing no comments, no questions, I assume we're okay to vote on this. This is resolution number 7 of 2022 regarding acceptance of a completion guarantee for specified improvements for the Tradition Development at Red Hook, and I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Jacob Testa.
Aye.
Julia Solomon.
Aye.
Bill Hamel.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right, we are moving on to agenda item number 3, and that is application for zoning amendment. Jesse, Jake, you're with us.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Very good. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jesse. This is Jake. We are currently applying to have a property of ours be amended zoning wise to accommodate what we think is a really exciting project for the town and for our operation. If you would like me to sort of summarize, or I don't know if we've.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the materials up on the screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
We can let the folks know where this is located, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to scroll and make everybody dizzy. We'll get through that last item on the agenda. Okay. Oh, that's right. I apologize. It's on a separate attachment. We'll get there. The town supervisor's a little slow with technology, but he gets there eventually. Okay. All right, we don't need to put up that information necessarily, but let's get to where we are. Why don't we start with the map?
Yeah.
Okay, how does that work? All right, let's get there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So we, back in the early days of the pandemic, yeah, many of you probably know us from Murray's. Shortly after we decided to close there, we started a farm at our property in Upper Red Hook, and we were kind of looking for an outlet, a retail outlet. We're growing a lot of cut flowers and nursery items, and we were in contact with Bard College. They had previously owned this property, which was for many years a gas station. And we purchased that and are looking to put up a greenhouse nursery business. And kind of throughout investigating, how we could possibly do that, opting for the zoning amendment for the agricultural business district seemed to make the most sense. Other than the business districts, it is the only spot where a greenhouse and nursery is a permitted use. And so that's kind of how we ended up where we are right now. And we're excited to chat with you about the project and answer any questions.
Okay.
And-
Well, shall I scroll down to some of your drawings while we talk about it? That'd be helpful. Okay, we have an EAF form. That's all technical stuff, I think, that the folks at home. All right, here we go. Here's a nice pretty picture. Let's start with pretty picture.
Yeah, and I think the next one's sort of better, the next page.
Okay.
So that would be if 9G is on your right and then Berrytown Road is on your left. So kind of looking at that corner there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what describe to the town board members, if you would, what you're proposing. That's a shop, you have a retail shop that you're proposing?
Yeah, so we're proposing a greenhouse nursery as sort of the primary principal use of that corner. And then we would be looking to have some sort of farm market attached to that, just to sort of create sort of a unique and eclectic agricultural retail business there. And, upon reviewing the sort of the purposes of the agricultural business district and sort of the reasons why it was established and the goals of it, we think that what we're proposing for the corner sort of checks a lot of those boxes in terms of, maintaining the agricultural character. We think it's an enhancement to agricultural businesses within Red Hook and just the area, because part of our business plan, even though it's evolving, one of the core parts of our plan is to also incorporate and feature other agricultural growers, businesses in sort of a standard farm market kind of environment, with the commercial nursery and greenhouse aspect sort of being the primary use of that spot.
And currently you're growing what now?
Currently we're doing a lot of cut flowers,
Okay.
but we are starting to sort of at the end of last year, beginning of this year, really getting into growing shrubs and plants. Yeah.
Okay, and the greenhouses would be, just so we understand, the greenhouses would be used for growing or for sort of storing or selling in a controlled climate?
Both, sort of the same way that you go to Adams and you see their greenhouses, or you go to Phantom and you see their greenhouses. They're absolutely working greenhouses. We are doing, the work of growing them there, but it's also kind of creates an interesting retail experience to, walk through there and kind of thing.
And it gives us a lot of flexibility to keep, to be actively growing things
Year round.
on that site year round. We kind of really explored with the current zoning, how can we make this project work? And we, spoke at length with Bob Fennell about, well, how can we make it work as it is right now? And the only options were sort of this, a farm market 1 or farm market 2. And we found, or we could, do a roadside stand there. And all of those, they were very, very limiting. And because we currently are growing both in the field and in the greenhouse, we want this to be an extension of that. And the greenhouse nursery is really only allowed in those business districts or the ABD. So that's kind of how we landed here. But we think that, it would be really complementary to Montgomery Place, and we feel like that whole area would really be enhanced by the project. One thing that we're kind of considering and working with the college on potentially down the road would be to even connect Montgomery Place and this property with the antiques shop in between, with like a little sidewalk there, so that, some folks could say stop at Montgomery Place, park there, pick up produce there, walk down the street. So it kind of has more of like a comprehensive.
It's welcoming.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so flowers, shrubs.
Yep. And then it would be sort of also just other like garden related products.
Like soils and pots and
Okay.
fertilizers and
Tools and
Okay. But maybe also farm produce, even though not necessarily from you, but from area farmers, you're thinking. maybe.
right. And, the being a part of this district also gives us, as, small farmers looking to make a big investment, it does give us sort of the flexibility to operate within a zone that is compatible with what we're doing. And I think that's important for us.
Did you want to walk us through this diagram at all? So to the right of the trees, that's 9G. And then you have this dark area is kind of a sidewalk. Is that what I'm looking?
Yeah.
And
So
that's your
beyond the
front
trees
edge.
there, which is the property to the north of us, is owned by Valeria Yoli. You'll see a letter of support within the PDF that I think the members of the board have already received.
Mhm.
But she owns it's a retail business, an antiques business. She does mostly all of her sales online currently, but I think we've lit a fire under her to perhaps open a few days a week, which would be wonderful. And then beyond them is the Montgomery Place Orchard stand. So this is, while it is very much conceptual and this is very early, this is sort of reflective of what we kind of want the place to look and feel like. Sort of taking on a traditional sort of vernacular, and the scale kind of is keeping in with what's already on that side of the street. So the look and feel is not going to really waver from this at all.
Okay. So we have a sidewalk. I'm just going through the diagram. We have a sidewalk. We have a front entrance.
And then parking is at the rear. Another thing is that if you look at sort of the plan on the following page that we've worked up with Tim Lynch at Red Hook Engineering, who's been really wonderful to work with, shows the parking at the rear. And we expect that this plan is going to change and go through a number of revisions just after, working with the planning board. But overall, sort of the layout, working with that site, we've taken a couple of things into consideration. Currently, there are 2 curb cuts that are pre-existing on 9G. Back when it was a gas station, which was its previous use. So we have sort of anticipated that is going to negatively contribute to a traffic situation that is not necessarily the easiest one to navigate if you're looking to get to cross the road there. So we've opted to keep the entrance and exits on Berrytown Road, and then have that be the access for the parking and for the site in general. But yeah, parking in the rear. The building is sort of up at the street on 9G, like the front facade, sort of in keeping in line with our neighbor to the north, and then the Montgomery Place farm stand further.
Okay. So the shot we were looking at back here, so if we look at this one again, 9G, these evergreens, no. Green, where is Groundworks facing? Is that facing?
So you're basically
Facing
looking,
9G.
you're kind of looking, you're kind of looking west.
You're kind of at the light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Barrytown Road is in the distance there.
Okay, so that's square off on 9J. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and greenhouses are facing Berrytown Road.
Yeah.
And then you have evergreens between you and Yoli. Okay. All right, and then going back up here, facing 9G. So you've got the cornered off. All right, let's go look at that plan again for parking, and then obviously all this stuff would go in front of the planning board, but just for us to understand what you're proposing from layout. And then the parking in and out right here.
Yeah, and this plan does show the sidewalk. It's not labeled, but you can sort of see the strip there.
Yeah.
Is this here?
Along 9G there.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And that sidewalk, I mean, have you had any conversation with the property immediately to the north about whether they would be interested in continuing that
Yes.
sidewalk?
Yeah.
She's very interested.
Yeah. She likes the idea.
Okay, and so is that sidewalk as proposed, you, on your drawings, you have kind of a, I don't know, a hedge or something, I guess. Is that inside the hedge or on the 9G side of the hedge? Proposed with your current thinking?
Right now it's on the 9G side, I guess.
Mhm.
But
However, it's going to work best.
Yeah.
We're open to that to make it happen.
Mhm. Okay,
Actually, some of it looks
like that
to be
idea.
on- Some of it looks to be on DOT property, right? Judging by
Yeah. Well, there's the corner sort of
Mhm.
piece there that's
Rounded,
actually
yeah,
not ours. So
right.
how that would work out exactly, again, it is very early, but we definitely think it's a interesting and important part of our equation here is to include that.
Yeah. Have you had any conversations with DOT, or I know it's premature and it's
Not
not
yet.
Not yet.
not our purview, but yeah.
I would suggest that having, the sidewalk on the 9G side is not very protective for pedestrians and,
Yeah.
streetscapes, et cetera. Want you to have protection, whether it's through a green space or something, between the road edge and people who are
Yeah.
walking. So that's just a thought for, if this goes forward.
Yeah, there should definitely be a
Yeah.
buffer. It would make it's a busy road. The speed limit's quite high there, so I would
And
definitely.
it's at the corner, there's going to be a lot of traffic already with the light, but so I just,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, you got some input from a couple of the neighbors, or at least the one to the north. Any outreach yet to Montgomery Place? And I'm also thinking Barrytown folks are going to want to, weigh in on this. Since it is sort of the entrance to their community.
Well, we've spoken on a number of occasions with the folks that own the property to the west of ours. While we weren't able to get a letter from them, they are absolutely supportive of the project, 100%.
That's one here with the
yep,
driveway on the corner.
yeah.
Okay. And you would figure something out to do with that driveway. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
well, there would be public hearings as part of it, any rezoning.
Right.
process.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think we would need one certainly for any zoning variances, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
process.
Aside from
If
this,
you were,
yeah.
right,
Yeah, of course.
We're in it for the long haul.
We know this is step one.
and what was your reasoning again, for not doing a farm market 1 or farm market 2?
It really came down to the greenhouse and nursery.
Is it we kind of discovered that the farm markets were accessory uses and we didn't really have a primary, a first use. So that would be the greenhouse nursery, and then our accessory use would be the farm market.
That being only allowed in either a business zone or this agricultural business
Right.
district.
Mhm.
Is your current farm in Upper Red Hook zone for AB?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay, this is gonna take a little thinking about, I believe.
Yeah, so Jesse, Jake, I think the logical next steps for us to do, board members, tell me if you concur, is for us to refer it to our planner, get some input. Obviously, we'd want to refer it to the planning board maybe too, or let's do the planner first and see where that gets us. And then county planning always weighs in on zoning changes. We'll need to do a referral there as well. But I would suggest, why don't we start with the planner, town board members, and get some input, and then we can, see who we need to circulate to. I think the planner can help us with that as well. Does that
One
make
other quick
sense?
question, if I can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
of course.
So the shrubs and plants that you're planning to grow, is cannabis going to be one of those?
No.
No, it's not.
Okay, thank you.
I am certainly fine with getting input from the planner. I think that the rest of the steps that you outlined have sort of are jumping the gun a little bit, because I think the board has to decide whether to even consider the rezoning before we do referrals
Yeah.
to places. So I think probably the best place to start right now might be to ask for some input from the town planner, and then
Right.
the board would have to, review that and make a decision on what the next steps might be or might not be after that.
Exactly. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, Jesse, thank you very much. Anything before we let them go? While we have, and there are letters of support, Bard College, the immediate neighbor to the north. Before we let them go, any
Not the immediate neighbor to the north, the second neighbor to the north.
No, the immediate neighbor to the north.
yeah.
They own the Yoli property too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I did not know that one. Okay.
Any questions? There was a greenhouse attached, parking over there. The size of the lot is 0.61 acres.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a very big lot. Just again, this is sort of down the road. You're proposing a lot on a very small property. And your design concept is very nice, but it's not necessarily, doesn't scream, like farm to me. So of course we have to look at the long-term uses for the property if it is rezoned, and what else could go there if you decided not to continue the use, or if you wanted to do a different sort of business there at some point. So those are all the things that the board will have to look at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we sort of anticipated that that would be, of course, a concern, rightfully so, of the board to sort of think about the future use. And we sort of felt that by asking for the agricultural business district designation, rather than, going in and trying to get a business district, rezone, the scope of allowable uses on a agricultural business district lot is, I think, a little bit more in keeping with what you would even want to see on that corner, something that does reflect an agricultural sort of business character that sort of is in keeping with what's there.
Well, I think also just one other thing that, came to our attention throughout this was that there are, I understand that folks would have concerns about some of the possible uses of that property, specifically just with its location, if it is designated as part of the ABD district, because there are, a lot of things that you can do in that district for sure. And I think that one thing that actually limits the use in this particular case is the lot size, is that there are so many things that are allowed in that zone that you actually would not be able to do there simply because of the lot size. And so I think that, in thinking about for the long term, which it certainly should be looked at and investigated really seriously, I think that the limitations in that sense make this, it's a super unique corner. You definitely cannot build a hotel there, or, some of the other concerns that there might be with, things that are allowed in the ABD district.
Right. Yep. It is a busy intersection when the Montgomery Place farm stand is open. So I think, I don't know whether you've had any conversations with anybody about, the opportunity to connect the parcels in the back as you're talking about. So, it would change. So if you have, I'm happy to see you're proposing your access would be on Berrytown Road instead of in 9G, but, potentially two very busy farm stands. And then if the antique store decides to have, in-person sales, and those two properties both do access off of 9G right at the light. So, it could be a solution potentially to some traffic calming in that area.
Absolutely. And maybe you saw on the plan, but there actually is near the back of where we show the parking, we do show actually a possible future drive, exactly what you're talking about there.
Right.
Just to alleviate that. And that was one of the reasons, there are two curb cuts right now on 9G. And again, just another reason that we went back and forth in the design of the lot so many times, and ultimately decided that we thought it was best to take those out because, the last thing that we want is to create a serious traffic situation there.
Yeah, and by incorporating the sidewalk and incorporating that, at least the intent to include a, future connector drive, we want to communicate that our intention is to have those three properties be as connected and easy as possible.
Okay,
Right,
great.
It's a super important. The last thing I was going to just say about it is it is obviously a really very important corner. I mean, it's the first thing you kind of see as you're making the turn into Red Hook, or as you're leaving Red Hook, you see it there. And so, we really care about the way it looks too. So.
Right.
Okay, great.
Any other
Thank you.
questions or comments?
A quick
No,
question.
don't-
It is in the LWRP, is it not?
It is.
Yes.
So wouldn't we, is there some provision or process for which they would be wanting
Yes,
to take a look at this?
yes. But again, I think Christine's suggestion was we have our planner take a look at it, and our planner can detail all of the things that will be required as part of the review process. But more importantly, to give us input as to the proposal and the merits of the proposal, the questions, the things that we should consider. Make sense?
But the short answer, Bill, is yes, there's a process.
There is a process. Yeah, there'll have to be a consistency form, just as there is for anything else. And I do believe that's right. All right, Jake and Jesse, that is within the LWRP area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
see
is.
it. I see it. Yeah, I see it on the map here. Great. Well, thank you. It's good to see you both again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to review our proposal. We look forward to next steps.
Great. We
Thanks,
shall.
everyone.
We shall be in
you.
touch and we'll share with you. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
All right, we're on agenda item number 4, which is a resolution to accept the ZEV infrastructure grant. This now would be resolution number 8. Do we have a resolution? There we go.
Yeah, you should.
We do, we do.
Okay.
we do. I'm sorry, we do. I'm just kidding. A resolution dated February 23rd, approving acceptance of a grant for fast charging pedestals in the town of Red Hook. I think we were one of the only communities to get money for fast charging. Congrats to the Energy Committee and their leadership in this. $153,000. These are expensive pedestals. You know, they're high powered. I'm going to go here in Town Hall. There's additional costs. The utility has a make ready program. We'll be applying for that maybe at the next meeting. We'll have more information about procurement, so on and so forth. But this is a resolution number 8, where the town of Red Hook has been selected to receive this ZEV zero emission vehicle infrastructure grant in the amount of $153,000 roughly for 2 fast charging pedestals at Town Hall. And we intend to require the contractor to submit to Central Hudson for the Make Ready program. It constitutes a type 2 action under seeker. And that's about it. I would like to move resolution number 8. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Christine. Any
I do
questions?
have one question. Do we know whether the bands that we're going to be getting will be compatible with the fast charging?
Well, that's a very good question because we have to go back and
That's what I thought.
RFP because the contractors who were awarded that contract pointed to supply chain problems. And so we have to get a new vendor and a new contractor after all this time. Not good. Those were not compatible with fast charging, by the way. Those were level 2. And they didn't
Right, so
need to be compatible, but we may want to rethink that because it
Yeah.
was envisioned to be charging overnight in the level 2s where that's sufficient. But let's see where technology has gotten to in the year and a half we've been waiting for them to.
right, and cost. Okay, just one. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion. I believe you seconded, Christine.
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, Julia Solomon,
Aye.
Jacob Testa,
Aye.
Bill Hamel.
Hi.
Very much. Okay, we have a couple of reports and some correspondence. I want to make sure we get through those. There's their diagram, the letters. I apologize to folks at home. Let me stop the share so you don't go dizzy. All right. All right, first thing we have on the screen, I think things are a little order. This is the notice that Central Hudson sent out about the utility, the prices. We have another storm coming tomorrow night into Friday for the folks at home. Here's the notice. One of the correspondence we had, since we're on fast charging anyway, John Rossi from Rhinebeck wanted to follow up with us and make sure our charging stations were ADA compliant. They are. What we are doing, however, is working with our engineer to see, since we have a bunch of level 2s, whether or not we could have a dedicated one and what's required in order to have that. But they are ADA compliant as they sit now. And so we received some correspondence from John separately in a different attachment I'll show you. And here's the response from the DEC commissioner on that. And John, we thank you for touching base with us and making sure that that takes place. Department reports, we have our highway department report. Jacob, did you want to give us sort of a quick synopsis of that? This is an annual report, a year end.
Yeah, so Teresa sent us this report. It has kind of an overview of the work that the highway department has done in the past year. Then includes some highlights like paving roads, resurfacing a few roads, performing shared services chip sealing with Mylan. That's on there twice. I'm not sure if that's two different projects. There's patching roads, replacing culvert pipes, clearing, maintaining, replacing catch basins, mowing town roads, responding to storm events, removing dead deer from town roads. It sounds like there was an uptick of that due to some disease. There was also removing dead trees with the help of an outside contractor. And the highway department crew removed trees and limbs from the roadway at 92 separate locations.
Yeah.
There was also funding from the town board to replace outdated equipment, including ordering a new skid steer, a backhoe loader, and a 6-wheel dump truck with plow. So those are things, if you've been following the town board meetings, we've been talking about over the past few months. They also initiated and developed a GIS mapping and inventory for town roads, including signs, dead trees and work orders, culverts and catch basins, and issued 14 driveway permits. The highway staff also completed a few different trainings in 2021, including forklift certification, AED CPR certification, workplace violence, sexual harassment training, and PESH safety training. And Teresa also included some daily logs, which included all of this work in a little bit more detail. So I think I probably speak for most of the board in saying that we appreciate the work of the highway department and keeping our roads safe and doing all the work that they do.
Yeah, and I know in particular this year, it's been a bit of a challenge. We all have experienced the ice personally. I know my body has fallen on it 6 times already this year, but you can imagine for them and trying to maintain the roadways, it's been quite a challenge this year, just because of the nature of the storm. So we definitely appreciate their fortitude in trying to keep the roads safe. Yeah. Christine, would you like to give a brief synopsis? Please be brief. They're so detailed, these rec reports. They're amazing what he does.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing, the work that our rec department and the rec committee gets through and keeps track of at our rec facilities now, and enlarged with Rec Park West. So again, just really want to thank them for all of their efforts on behalf of the town and our citizens, because we do have one of the best rec facilities in the area for sure.
Right.
So
Can you mention this part, Christine? Would you mind, about the entry gates? Because we want to make sure that the public is aware that the park is now closed for the winter time, and we've had some safety issues associated with people coming into the park while there's, ice and unsafe footing.
So yes, as you pointed out, we have, the park is now closed. With the icing, there has been damage to both the north and south entry gates, some of which we think was caused by ice and accidents. Some were not quite so sure. Again, repairs have been made to that. And again, we have a really creative group of folks who figure out good ways to make these repairs at cost saving levels. But please remember that the park is officially closed now. So with weather like we're having today and tomorrow, maybe it'll be open sooner than we think, but for safety reasons, it is closed. So please remember that and help us spread the word about that.
And in particular, Christine, the folks who live on Fruit Bed would really appreciate if the folks would respect the fact that the park and the parking lot are closed.
Right, and not be down in there.
And not be parking
on the side of the road.
Roads and all of that, yeah.
Right, and I mean, the park, as we know, gets a tremendous amount of use, and I'm sure there's folks who still think that they can go out for a walk, or, maybe take the dog for a walk, and
Mhm.
park along the side of the road in order to do that. And there are safety issues with access, fire access, et cetera, along the road. And before you know it, you've got 10 people who decided to come for a walk that day, and the road is blocked pretty much. And despite whether you feel like you could get in there or not, the park is officially closed. So
Yeah.
please don't do that.
Lots of,
We've only got another month or so, so hopefully it'll be open again then.
then we're gonna hold you to that, Christine.
Yeah.
Lots of other options, Poets Walk, Tivoli Bays, hiking.
Right.
You have Abrams Park just down the road from Rec Park. That presents an opportunity for walking. So
Right.
we would,
We're very lucky with all of the outdoor recreation opportunities we have in our town.
yeah,
So I'm not going to read them all because we are trying to keep this quickly, but you will see that our group has already made their list of priorities for 2022. They've got 18 items that they're going to be addressing and working on this year going forward. Excuse me. And they're continuing to prioritize dead tree removal as soon as the weather clears. Some has already been done, but more will be done. And a big project that's going to come up for this year or several of them, are the repair to the pavilion ceiling that has been looked at for a number of ways, different ways to try to address it. And I think they have found a permanent solution for that. And also we're working on the dugouts for Rec Park West for the ball field that was put in. So that will make that available for more use. One kind of important thing to mention for the tennis players in the community is that in previous years, there has been a group, and it's been through the U.S. Tennis Association, that has been using the tennis courts. Excuse me. And there's just such an increase in use, and it ties up the tennis courts a tremendous amount of time. So we are not, the committee has decided not to participate in that organized program with that group this year, so that there will be more availability for general use by members of the community. So that's going to be a big change in the availability of the tennis courts if you're a tennis player in the town. Hopefully you will be able to benefit from that. And another one is working on the lights around the volleyball court. Those will have to be addressed. They're aging out, and the committee is looking at the prices and options for replacing those. And also when we put the skate park in, according to this 13 years ago, which it seems like, I can't believe it's been that long. There was a phase 2 option for it, which was not completed for a number of reasons. Again, the skateboard is getting a tremendous amount of use, larger amounts of age groups that are using it, ability levels. And so the committee is going to be looking at moving ahead with finalizing the phase 2 for that, and the updates that would be required to make that happen. So there's, as you can see, lots more stuff that they're going to be working on, but I think those are the highlights.
Thank you, Christine. There was just tons of stuff to read in the report.
Right.
Okay. Wow. Well, what else do we have? Let's see. Does that conclude things? I think we had
That's it.
Hang on one
We
second.
had actually 2 late additions.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to, Bill. Thank you. Okay. So police department report. Bill, would you do the honor?
Yeah, real quick, the last page, the relevant information is that the police department in the month of January had responded to 68 calls, incidents. They made 5 arrests, and they issued 40 traffic summonses in the month. And the report, as you're putting it, gives the various different kinds of calls that they went on.
Right. 5 arrests, 40 tickets. Okay. Very good. And then the last one, Bill, we have you again. If you wouldn't mind, Water Department report. This is December and January, I guess.
Yeah, and we actually are having a meeting we're supposed to have last week. It's been rescheduled for tomorrow morning to go over these things, but the highlights are the well rehab was completed. That was a big job. If the board members remember, I think we had to authorize contract and funding for that. It was a big and important thing to do. The water department seems to be running just fine. No real issues. I did get. There are two issues that I can report on next month. There's a yearly report that they do, year-end report, which just got today for 2021, which is sort of a kind of like the highway department report, which I'll report on. And then at tomorrow's meeting on the agenda is a discussion about the possibility of inspections, meter reads. There's a fee for that. And there's some discussion about a very minor increase in those meter reading fees that the board is going to discuss tomorrow morning, and then I'll be able to relate back to the town at our next meeting.
Great. All right. One of these days, Bill, we're going to quiz you on some of this terminology.
Turbidity for one.
Mhm. Exactly. That is all that we have before we go into the aforementioned executive session to discuss the hire of a particular individual and attorney-client session. For the folks at home, wishing you good health. You know, the COVID statistics are looking much better. We hope that we can return to more normalcy here in town hall. We've seen a lot more of you, by the way. It is tax season, so you're coming in. But soon we hope to see more of you in person, and we'll be talking about holding meetings in person again soon, I think. All right. Good night to all of you. At this time, I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session and attorney-client based upon what I mentioned earlier.
Seconded.
Thank you, Bill Hamill. All in favor, Christine Kane.
Aye.
Julia Solomon.
Aye.
And Jacob Testa.
Aye.
Good night, everyone. We're going to do this by audio, so if you would be kind enough to end your video. Okay, good evening. It's 10:24. We have exited our attorney-client and executive sessions. The meeting is now open. At this time, I would like to make a motion, or would somebody like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to make employment offers as described in executive session?
I would like to make that motion.
Thank you, Christine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julia Solomon. And all in favor, Bill Hamel,
Aye.
Jacob Testa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. And this relates to the position of Deputy Building Inspector, Code Enforcement. And we will also entertain some action now. Would somebody like to make a motion to authorize Rodenhausen Shaw to represent us in the Article 78 matter as described in attorney-client?
So moved.
Thank you, Bill Hamel.
Second.
Thank you, Jacob Testa. Any further discussion? All in favor, Julia Solomon,
Aye.
Christine Kane,
Aye.
and myself, aye. I think we have concluded tonight's business. Thank you all very much. Our next town board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 8th. I wish all of you well and health and happiness. Thanks very much.
Do we need a motion
Good
to
night.
adjourn?
Would you like to do that?
Sure, I'd make a motion that we adjourn.
Who would like to second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill Hamel. All in favor, Julia Solomon,
Aye.
Jacob Testa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.